All right, today for fun, I thought it'd be interesting to tier rank all the aspect cards in the core box. I know this is a very specific thing, but I think it would be fun to kind of go through all the old cards that are out there and just rank them based off of how likely I am to use that card, right, when I deck build. So it's just my personal feelings about the card. That'd be fun to talk about and fun to discuss. So feel free to put in the comments down below what you agree with, what you disagree with, all that fun stuff. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, all that fun stuff while we do this. So let's pop over to our tier ranker. All right, so we have, I believe, all 44, again, just aspect cards that are out there for the core box. And for the tier ranking, I basically just have, I'll consider this card 80% of my decks are up, 60 to 80%, 40 to 60%, 20 to 40%, and below 20% of the time. That's really what I'm just basing it off of. So nothing too crazy, pretty basic stuff overall. So we're just going to go through each one, talk about it really quick, and then jump into it. So the first one let's talk about is Armored Vest. So Armored Vest is a 1 cost upgrade in protection. Armor, play under any player's control, max 1 per player. Your hero gets +1 defense. Now, overall, if I'm playing a protection deck, I'm probably using this card a fair amount. I feel like most aspect cards I'll have to rank like within its aspect, right? Because like the 80%, I'll say like if I'm doing an aggression deck, right? Would I use it for 80% of the time? Not 80% of all decks, if that makes sense. Just because then you're gonna end up with like a weird grouping of aspect cards down below. So as far as Armored Vest goes with do I use it in protection decks? I use it a fair amount. A lot of times because I build perfect protection type decks or, some kind of ready up build where I'm defending anyway. I think for aspect times, I'm probably using the card like in the high range, right? Like I don't think it's above 80% of the time because there's other times where I just do like ready up builds um that don't really focus on defending, or I do like tough status builds or things like that. So I don't think it's up in the 80 range, but like it's probably close. Like it'll probably be like up at the upper end of this range. So anyway, Armor Vest up there in that one. All right, so next up we have, oh, this is out of order down here. Oh well. We have, let's go in proper alphabetical order. So next we have Avengers Mansion. So Avengers Mansion states that you have a 4 cost support basic card Avenger location, maximum per player. Exhaust Avengers Mansion to choose a player. That player draws 1 card. This is an incredibly good card that I tend to probably put in the vast majority of my decks. Early on, it was like it felt like everyone put it in all the time, and then when we got the gray doubles, right, the Power in All of Us card, like there was almost no reason to not put this card into a deck. So I feel like for me, it's definitely something I consider hard for 80% of my decks, for sure. Does it make it in there? It's pretty close. Like it might be on the lower end, but it's pretty high up there because I do like this card. I do think the deck building aspect of it's pretty good. So I thoroughly enjoy the card and it gets used a ton, even a non-Avenger decks, right? Like it's technically an Avenger card, but you can use it with anyone. And I think that's what makes it so valuable because you can use it with anyone. So good card, gets used 80% of the time. Next up, we have Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff. This is the protection card. 3 cost ally, 2/1, 2 stat line with Shield Spy. Interrupt when a card is revealed from the encounter deck. Exhaust Black Widow and spend a mental resource to cancel the effects of that card and discard it. Then reveal another card from the encounter deck. This is not a card I use much anymore because it's just such a high cost to basically get a separate encounter card, right? We're seeing a lot nowadays, like Scarlet Witch has this ability, even Strange has this ability, but later on, the ability to cancel treachery cards and get rid of it. Now, the difference with this is that this is just canceling the effects of whatever that card is. So it is more useful in a sense, but it's still like, I mean, to pay 3 for Natasha and spend the specific resource for the mental resource, like it's a high barrier. I feel like it's a very high barrier. Again, if you can make it work for you with like discarding something that's really annoying, then maybe it works out well. But I always get worried with that stuff that like the next one is going to be even worse. So Black Widow is one I don't use a lot. She's probably gonna be down here in the 2040 range. Again, I'm not saying that it's a bad card per se. It's just I don't like anymore really doing the whole cancel. Like if it's gonna be a minion or a side scheme or whatever, like I'm just gonna deal with the thing. Generally speaking, treachery cards are the worst thing to deal with. We have good cancels for treacheries nowadays, or at least some heroes do. So I just don't run her that much. And if she was 2 cost, maybe it's better. Maybe if I just had to exhaust her, or I just had to pay a mental resource, but I have to do both. It's just a big ask. So we're not really doing much of that. So all right, excuse me. Next up, we have Chase Them Down. 0 cost event, aggression. It's a thwart event. Response: after your hero attacks and defeats an enemy, remove 2 threat from a scheme. Now, early on, I loved this card because it was basically the only way you can thwart with aggression, like an event. And they have some other cards nowadays that you can do with like overkilling on minions and things like that. But there's still not a ton of threat removal cards. The problem is it doesn't always make sense to have this card in there anymore, because to remove 2 threat, just get an ally that has like 2 or 3 threat removal, right? So this was a card that earlier on I liked a lot, and it probably would have been like in the 60 to high 60 range, low 60 range, somewhere in there. Um, Nowadays it's one I don't use that much. Again, I liked it when it first came out, but just get an ally out there now is probably more efficient than chase it down. If that was like a 3 threat removal, now we're talking. But there's a lot of aggression allies that have more. So I'm going to put this down slightly above Black Widow. I still find random times where it kind of makes sense for me, but it's not often that it makes sense. So all right, so we have that. Now we have combat training, and this is a card I enjoy thoroughly. It's a 2 cost upgrade for aggression. Play under any player's control. Max 1 player, your hero gets +1 attack. This is incredibly good. It gets used more so than armored vest, because generally speaking, with aggression builds, no matter what kind of build you're doing, you're almost always attacking. It might be in the lower end of the 80. It could flip down to 60, 80 range, but I'm going to put in the 80 up range, but on like the far end, because I have to think a bit about it. But it is a very good card. It's a very strong card overall. Yeah, it's a card I thoroughly enjoy. So I'm going to put it up on the top tier. All right, next up we have Counterpunch. So Counterpunch is a 0 cost protection event, an attack event response. After your hero defends against an enemy attack, deal damage to that enemy equal to your hero's attack. I don't. Okay, for like Drax, this card works, right? This card makes a lot of sense. For most of my other builds for defense, it doesn't really make sense. Like it's a card that's going to end up. I use a little more in Black Widow in the 2040 range. I don't hate the idea of the card, but I'm not really building out my protection deck for like to have a lot of attack. Again, Drax can build it up through his vengeance counter, so it makes a lot more sense. But for most heroes, like it just doesn't make sense. Like if they're defending, I'm going to be focusing on the defense side of things, not building out the attack. So it'd be cool if this maybe gets utilized a little bit more in the future, but as of right now, it's not a card I use. I'll put it in the 2040 range at this point. All right, next up we have Daredevil, everyone's favorite. Daredevil's a Justice ally, 4 cost, 2/2/3 stat line, defender. Response: after Daredevil thwarts, deal 1 damage to an enemy. When this card first came out, I used it actually all the time because I liked the idea of it, of 2 threat removal, also being able to just like deal damage. Now, we didn't understand how good that was until later on. The reason being is because now dealing damage is different than attacking, right? So if I need to get around a guard or whatever, I can do that with Daredevil by thwarting, which is really nice. Also, he won't be retaliated when I hit an enemy that has a tough status with a retaliate on it, right? That's also really good to get around. So he was one that I used a fair amount in the beginning, and then I used a good amount, then it dropped down, and now it's kind of going back up. He's going to be in our 40-60 range. I don't use him all the time. He's a little expensive. There's some other really good Justice allies out there, especially for cheaper. But I think if you can make him work, it's pretty strong, pretty good. Definitely recommend using that ally more. I feel like we as a community have kind of gotten away from Daredevil, and he's pretty solid, right? That's what I'll say. He's pretty solid, so it's definitely worth checking him out. All right, now we have Emergency. This bonkers card. It's a basic card, 0 cost event. Thwart. Interrupt when the villain schemes. Reduce the amount of threat placed on the scheme by 1. So it's an effective cost of 1, right? Because you're using this card. I can safely say I use it below 20% of the time. It is not a good trade-off. Like, there are rare situations when like reducing it by 1 for 1 is like worth it. Like it's very rare. And it's generally not worth it if it's just like chilling in my hand, just using it as a resource the vast majority of the time. Like it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. I don't use the card. I'm sure you could figure out a way to make it work all right, but it's just easier to just thwart your next turn, right? Just thwart your next turn. Focus on that. Don't clog up your hand with these cards. It's just not worth it. So I use that below 20% of the time. For sure. All right, so let's do. Oh, we gotta do energy now. It's a double. It's a lightning double. Doubles are gonna go at the top. I use doubles almost all the time. There's very rare times I don't use doubles. Really, it's for like spider. I don't. Psylocke, I'm hit and miss. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It depends on what the build's like, but yeah, it's very very rare that I don't use it. So that's probably like if we had a 90 tier, it'd probably be one of the few cards in the 90 tier. So it's up there. It's good. Highly recommend. All right, now we have first aid. It's a 1 cost basic event. Heal 2 damage from any character. Early on, I didn't like this card, and then I realized the importance of being able to heal on your hero's side. And now that we have builds around Voltroning, like either your signature ally or any other ally, being able to heal any character, which includes your allies as well. And technically, I guess if they ever make a villain where like if you heal the villain that deals damage to them, like you can use this as an attack card. I mean, it's not a good attack, but it's an attack. So I like this card. I use it probably 60% of the time. I don't use it all the time. Definitely more than half. I would say it's definitely in the top half. I like it. There's now more cards out there and aspects that allow you to heal, so they're probably gonna be preferred over first aid. But first aid still has times where it makes sense to use that card, so I definitely think it could be worth it. All right, next up we have For Justice. It's a 2 cost justice event. It's a thwart event. Hero action: remove 3 threat from a scheme. 4 threat instead of you pay for this using a mental resource. For Justice is a really good card. It's really good in solo. I feel like it's really good in multiplayer. It's definitely a solid card. I mean, 2 for 4 is good. 2 for 3 you don't really want as much. Like it's not terrible, but it's not ideal. 2 for 4 is pretty good. And the mental resource, there is resource generators out there that generate a mental resource for you. So it's a card that I probably use 60-80% of the time. Very strong. And again, we haven't talked too much about multiplayer versus solo yet, because generally speaking, they're the same for these two things. Like it's not much is changing for me personally. But For Justice is definitely a strong card for both. It's a card I like. I like some of the other threat removal cards as well, but For Justice is better in multiplayer as well compared to like Clear the Area is a good solo card, but not a good multiplayer card. Very generally speaking. All right, so now I feel like I think we're missing one. Oh no, we're not. We have another double. Genius. All right. I like all the doubles roughly the same. So we're just gonna plop him up there. Oh my gosh, come on. There we go. Double goes up in the 80% range. It gets used a ton. Really good card. Highly recommend. All right, then we have Get Behind Me, 1 cost protection event. Here, it notes when a treachery card is revealed from the encounter deck, cancel its when revealed effects. So far on board, the villain attacks you instead. There's only a handful of builds I feel like this makes sense, like where you want to be attacked. Like Drax kind of wants to be attacked, and maybe some of like protection, Spider Woman, or Ghost Spider. Sorry, protection Ghost Spider wants to be attacked, or like Shadowcat sometimes wants to be attacked. Like, unless you have a build that really wants to be attacked, this card doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I'm gonna put it in the 2040 range, down below Black Panther. It works in a very niche build, so it's not useless. It's just it makes sense for that build, and that's about it. So yeah, so not the worst card, I guess, but again, not a great card. All right, now we have leadership, 0 cost event and get ready action, ready an ally. Sometimes this makes a lot of sense. For my Voltron builds, there's good times. The problem is now that we have the whole sidekick build and we have a card that allows you to ready up your sidekick and heal them, it makes this card almost worthless. Now, again, if you do a Voltron build that's not signature ally sidekick build specific, then it's a little bit different. But it's not a card I use a ton. I'm gonna put it in the 20-40 range. I mean, there are times I have used it, but it's not very high by any means. It's a very niche card, but the niche, I mean, Voltron building non-signature allies can be a viable build. It can absolutely work. You can absolutely do it. It's not something I do all the time. So, all right. Next up, we have a great responsibility zero cost justice event. Hero interrupt when any amount of threat would be placed on a scheme. You take it as damage instead. I don't want damage. Like damage is how you lose, generally speaking. So I don't want additional damage. I almost never use this card. Actually, this is going to go down like the 20 below 20% range. I don't really have justice builds that utilize this card. Like there's other stronger justice builds, I feel like, than like there's easier and better ways to reduce threat than just getting punched in the face, basically. Right? Like I don't want to do that. So and the other thing too that's weird, not weird about it, but it's also a hero interrupt. So like you wouldn't use it because most likely the villain isn't scheming unless they get an advance. So they're not scheming because it's a hero card, so it's on their attack, or they're gonna be attacking you because the hero side. So it's like when threat gets put on the scheme, which again for maybe multiplayer that makes sense if there's like a really large amount, but if there's a really large amount, you're probably gonna die. So I don't know. I don't really see the trade-off worth in that. I just don't. So anyway, below 20%, not a big fan of that card. All right, Hawkeye, Clinton Barton, Justice, or I'm sorry, Leadership Ally, 3113 stat line. He comes with 4 arrow counters, and his response is after a minion enters play, remove 1 arrow counter and deal 2 damage to that minion. I love Hawkeye. This is a leadership ally I got away from for a bit because it's so good that it just wasn't fun. Not that it wasn't fun, it's just like I felt like I was doing the same thing over and over, so it was getting boring. If you're ever struggling with Ultron in the core box, Hawkeye's your secret, right? Because he can basically take out 4 Ultron drones for you. So really strong card, really good. He is probably in the 60-80 range because I purposely tried to put him in less decks now, just because I was using him so much, right? I was just using him too much, I think. So not that it's a bad card, I just want to pull away from it a little bit, but a very strong card nonetheless. All right, then we have Haymaker. It's a 2-cost event, basic card, attack, enemy action, deal 3 damage to an enemy. I uh I don't think I've ever really used this card. I'm gonna put it in below 20%. It's rare that I would use this card, to be completely honest. I just don't see the reason to. I don't think it's a really good card. There's better cards out there. Even in other aspects that are not aggression, there's better cards out there. So don't use that card. All right, next up we have Helicarrier. 3-cost support Helicarrier, location shield, max 1 per player. Action, exhaust Helicarrier, choose a player. Reduce the resource cost of the next card that player plays this phase by 1. So here's the thing, we got to break this down differently. So as a solo player in the beginning, we used it a ton because we didn't have resource generators like Quinn Carrier or X-Jet or whatever. Now that we have those resource generators, this card makes a little bit less sense unless you're doing a shield build, or just reducing cost makes a lot more sense. So as a solo player, it gets put down a lot. As a multiplayer, though, it's actually really useful because you can choose another player, right? You can call an action and exhaust it for another player, which is really strong and really good. So it depends on how you look at it. If I was building primarily for multiplayer, it'd probably be like almost an 80% card. Because I'm a solo player, it's a low 60. Right. So I know the multiplayer people that watch this are going to be like, oh, this is something that should be pushed a lot higher. I get it. I agree with you for multiplayer, but since I am primarily a solo player, it gets just like bumped down a little bit because I'd rather put in Quinn Carrier or something else. Like there's just other cards that make more sense. All right. Next up, we have Heroic Intuition. It is a 2-cost upgrade, Justice. Play under any player's control, max 1 per player. Your hero gets +1 thwart. I I use this more than armored vest, but I don't think I use it as much as combat training. It's up there, like it's close to the 80%. So I'm gonna put it in the 60-80 range. It's very high up there. It's a very good card. But it's just not one I don't think I use like all the time. So good card, definitely solid. A lot of my justice decks have it, but not all of them. All right, now we have Hulk, 2-cost aggression ally, has no thwarting ability, 3 attack, 5 life, force response, and he's an Avenger Gamma. After Hulk attacks, discard the top card of your deck. If that card's printed resource has a fist, deal 2 damage to enemy. Lightning, deal 1 damage to each character, which includes you and Hulk. A mental, discard Hulk, or a wild all of the above, which would not probably be great. Um, he's quite the wild card. He's quite the interesting card. I actually use Hulk 60 to 80% of the time because of the 5 life at a 2 cost. He's a really good blocker for aggression, right? You could probably use him for 2 blocks, which is really strong, like 2 rounds worth, right? Unless you're facing like Ronin or whatever that's hitting for a ton. Generally speaking, most villains, especially on standard, you'll survive the first hit and you can use him for a second block. If you're really lucky, you can get him for a third one. It doesn't always work out that way, but 2 rounds when you have to worry about getting punched in the face by the villain, I think it's a pretty good trade-off for a 2 cost, so I will definitely take that. So Hulk, we're going to put in the 60, 80%. All right, next up we have Indomitable. It's a 1 cost upgrade for protection, condition, response. After your hero defends, discard Indomitable to ready your hero. Now we have other ready up cards for protection nowadays. We'll get into them much later on when we cover them. But there are other ready up cards that we have that are pretty good. Some of them let you like heal up and whatnot. This isn't bad, right? I think Indomitable still has a place. I'm going to put it the 40-60 range. There are times I defend and there's no other way to ready up, and I would really like to be for a variety of reasons. So it's what I consider like a second pass card. A lot of times when I'm passing in my deck, there's like a handful of cards I consider like this is what I'm going to do first. And I look at those. It's usually what I consider a second pass card. So I take a second look, check it out, see if it makes sense. So yeah, definitely not a terrible card, but yeah, don't love it. All right, so now we have Inspired. So Inspired is a 1 cost upgrade for leadership attached to an ally, max 1 per ally. Attached ally gets +1/+1, 1 thwart, 1 attack. This is it's between the 80 up and 60-80. It's like right at the 80. I'm going to put it at the top tier list because a lot of times with leadership nowadays, I'm either doing recursion builds or Voltron builds, right? So Voltron, I haven't really explained it, but just basically means you put a ton of attachments onto that ally to make them super strong, right? Make them stronger than your hero. Inspired still gets used on every single one of those builds to this day because there's very low restrictions. It's generally pretty cheap. It's a +1/+1 stat line, like really good card. So I like it a lot. I still use it a lot, but it might be 60-80 because I use recursion builds a lot too, where I'm trying to, like, after an ally gets knocked out, I'm using a card that brings them back in, make the call, something like that. So yeah, it's right on between those two, but we'll put it in the top half. All right, Interrogation Room, 1 cost support for justice, maximum per player. After you defeat a minion, exhaust Interrogation Room, remove 1 threat from a scheme. This is a card because it's justice. I'm not using a ton, right? Generally speaking, if I'm worried about minion slaying, I'm probably playing aggression. So it doesn't make a lot of sense in justice. Now, it doesn't mean it never gets used, but it is going down the 20-40 range, but the bottom of that range. It might fall into the below 20. But there are times I'm playing a Justice deck where there are a lot of like easy minions to hit, so it makes sense to have it. But those times are very specific, very rare. Doesn't happen very often. So, all right, then we have another Justice card with Jessica Jones, ally. 3 cost, 1/2/3 stat line. She's a defender. Jessica Jones gets +1 thwart for each side scheme in play. It's not bad if you're playing a side scheme heavy deck. I like the card. The problem is I'm not doing that a ton. She has her place, but it's a more niche kind of place. So I'm going to place her a little above Daredevil because I do use her more than Daredevil. So in the 40-60 range. Again, solid card. Can be a solid card. Can be a really good card, but it's very specific. And I know people be like, you use her all the time for Red Skull. You're right. For Red Skull, sure. For other places, not so much, right? So that's really what that comes down to. So good card. Has its purpose, but not a card I use all the time. All right, Lead from the Front is a 2 cost leadership event. The tactic hero action. Choose a player. Each character that player controls gets +1/+1 until the end of the phase. Now, in multiplayer, this could be worth more because if somebody else is building out their Justice ally deck or their aggression, attack deck, aggression ally attack deck, this will work well for them. It will work well for you too, especially if you have ready ups or you have like a ally swarm build and you have a lot of people attacking, including yourself. And if yourself can ready up, because it is, oh, I closed that already, because it is each character that player controls, which you control your hero. So that's one of them. So it's a good card, but realistically it's at the 20-40 range, but I'm putting it at the very top of it. I do use it, but it's a little more niche. I don't do ally swarm builds as much as maybe other people do, so it's a bit lower for me. I think in multiplayer you can bump it up because if your teammates are building out more with allies, makes more sense. All right, Luke Cage is a 4-cost ally, 1/5 stat line, comes in with toughness. So I remember liking this card a lot early on. Where is Luke Cage? There it is. I remember liking him a lot, but he's just kind of expensive for what he is at this point. Again, I'm putting the 40-60 range on the bottom half of it. I still use him. Having the tough is nice. Dealing the 2 damage for protection isn't bad. Having 5 life is pretty beefy. It's just the 4 cost, right? 4 is a lot. When you compare it to Hulk, who gets maybe 1 less block, but is half the cost, okay, you know what I mean? Like it's a bit different. So I don't dislike Luke Cage. He's just a little bit expensive for me. That's really it. All right, we have make the call, a 0-cost event for leadership. Pay the printed cost of an ally in any player's discard pile. Put that ally into play under your control. So for multiplayer, this is a bonkers card, absolutely bonkers. For a solo player, it's also a very good card. It's a very good card. I'm gonna put it right next to Inspired, because as much as I like put Inspired up there because I use it a ton when I build that very specific deck, well, make the call if I'm doing recursion is basically in every single recursion deck. Like it's silly not to have that card. It's just a very good card overall. So I have it up there. You can make the argument again, make the call for solo player be down in 60-80 range, but then so would Inspired, just kind of how you break it down really. But very good card. Maria Hill, my Maria, 2-cost ally, leadership, 2/1/2 stat line, shield card. After Maria Hill enters play, each player draws a card. For multiplayer, this is put in pretty much all the time. For solo, pretty much all the time. It goes above Avengers Mansion. She's in the 80 up range. It just 2 costs to draw a card and remove 2 threat and then get a block. Yes, I will take that every single time. That is a good trade-off. I enjoy that card. It's a very good card, very strong card. All right, Med Team. It's a 3-cost protection support. Shield card uses 3 med counters. Action. So it could be hero or alter ego side. Exhaust Med Team and remove 1 medical counter from it, and heal 2 damage from a friendly character. Now again, this could be your hero. This could be your ally. It could be whatever, right? Oops. Come on. Okay, it's not closing. Oh no. To close it this way. So Med Team is it not here on the bottom list? Oh, there it is. So Med Team, again, I think it's a good card. I think it's a strong card. It's probably 40-60. It's not that it's a bad card. It's just a little expensive. Usually it gets cut in the first pass of like cutting cards. Not because it's bad, but there's other healing cards. So, like it's good. It's definitely good. There's just usually not a lot of allies for protection that I want to heal either. So I don't know. It's not bad. I could see myself using it more often. Actually, I'm gonna put it a little higher. I'll put it below Jessica Jones. So it's like 50% of the time I probably use it. All right, now we have Blocking Bird. Oh, this is not coming in. There we go. Blocking Bird. So 3-cost ally, Mockingbird, basic ally, 1/1/3 stat line. Not great, but after Mockingbird enters play, stun an enemy. Early on, we spam this card nonstop. It's still a card I use 60-80% of the time. I'm gonna put it just under Heroic Intuition, so closer to the 80% side of things. I use her all the time. The only time you don't really use her is for steady or stalwart villains. She's a little weak in her stat line, but for solo play to get around where you're not going to get attacked feels incredibly good, right? Like it helps out a ton. So she definitely still has a place in most decks. For the cost, it just makes sense to play it. Enjoy the card greatly. Very, very good card. Nick Fury. You all know my thoughts on Nick Fury at this point if you know me. So 4-cost ally, basic 2/2/3 stat line, shield spy, force response. After Nick Fury enters play, choose one. Remove 2 threat from a scheme, draw 3 cards, which is probably what we're going to do, or deal 4 damage to an enemy unless you're making a final push. That's when you would do that. At the end of the round, if Nick Fury is still in play, discard him. And so basically you pay 4 to draw 3. So his effective cost is what, 2 then? Because you have to count him as a card. So you get the extra 3 or you get the 3 cards to hopefully cycle through your deck faster. You're going to use them as a block. To remove the 2 threat and 2 attack is phenomenal. He is up there with the doubles. I'll put him just below the doubles because the doubles are probably getting used and looked at more often first. But Nick Fury is ending up in 90-some% of the decks. He's just such a strong card. So absolutely gets used all the time. All right, Relentless Assault is a 2-cost aggression event. Attack, Hero action, deal 5 damage to a minion. If you pay for this card using a strength resource, this attack gains overkill. So this was nice for cards like, or for enemies like Zola, where you don't want to get retaliated. And if it overkills onto Zola, you wouldn't get hit with that, right? Like if you hit the minion, kill the minion, you don't get retaliated for the minion, obviously. But then if that overkill hits Zola, you don't get retaliated because you didn't attack the villain, you attack the minion. I still don't love it. Like it's fine. I'm gonna put it in the low 40, 60 range. No, probably above Luke Cage. But below Indomitable. It's a good card. It has early on it was used a lot more. I feel like we have a lot of range now. We're not dealing with Retaliate as much. Retaliate usually also isn't like how it is with Zola, which is on it. Usually it's like a weapon or an attachment or something. So you can get it off. So it just doesn't make as much sense now. It's not, again, not a bad card, but not one I use all the time. All right, we have our last double with strength. Where is strength? Strength. There it is. It goes up with the rest of the triples. I have it last, but it's just because I'm putting it in the alphabetical order. Or no, what did I say? Triples? The last of my doubles. Phenomenal card. All right, Surveillance Team, 2-cost support for Justice. Shield uses 3 Snoop. There it is, counters. Exhaust action, exhaust Surveillance Team and remove 1 Snoop counter from it. Remove 1 threat from a scheme. Now, before Shield decks started getting really popular, it was probably a 20-40 range. It is now for sure high 60s, maybe even low 60s, right? You could put it in between the 40, 60, 60, 80 range, somewhere in there. If I'm doing a shield deck, it's pretty much an auto include, but I don't play a ton of shield decks, so it doesn't get used as much. For general thwarting, I don't really use it, but just for shield decks, it just makes so much sense. So why wouldn't you use it? So good card. All right. Attack Team is a 3-cost aggression support shield card. Uses 3 attack counters. Action, exhaust Attack Team and remove 1 attack counter from it. Deal 2 damage to an enemy. Now, this isn't an attack. It's just dealing damage. It's an action, even though they use the word attack. I like the idea of this card. I just don't use this card that much. It just, for 3 costs, spread out 6 damage. Right? Like, it's fine. It's not great. I'm gonna put it in the 20-40 range, but near the bottom. It's not bad per se, but it's not great, I guess. All right, Tenacity is a 2-cost basic upgrade. It's a condition card. Hero action. Spend a fist resource and discard this card to ready your hero. There are better ways to ready up nowadays. Like early on, this might not have been terrible, but it's going down below Haymaker. It's below 20%. I think I used this card once or twice and it's never been used again. There's easier, better ways to ready up in aspect form, or you just don't do that build. So, all right, Power of Aggression. We're going to get into all the Power of cards. So Power of Aggression is a resource card. When generating for an aggression card, it doubles. So normally it's just 1 wild. Other than that, it doubles. I'm putting it in the 80% range, but at the low end. And we're going to do this for all the Power of. Same with Power of Justice is going to get the same exact treatment in the 80 and up at the very bottom. Power of Leadership, same exact thing. A lot of these doubles, I like the doubles. Like, don't get me wrong, they're not bad. Sometimes they could drop down to the 60-80 range. The Power of Protection is the last one. It could drop down a little bit, but they're cards that I used to run a lot of cheap decks, so I didn't have to run these cards. And now I'm leaning more into the expensive decks because of like building out and whatever. So because of that, running more doubles makes more sense now. That's all. That's really what it comes down to. If you put it in the second, the 60-80 range, put at the top of it, I think that works fine too. I wouldn't be upset with that. All right, Triskelion is a 1-cost leadership support. Location shield. Increase your ally limit by 1. This allows you to control more than 3 allies. If you did ally swarms, it'd be really good. There's other cards where, like, if I do an ally swarm, like, whatchamacallit, like Guardians, for example, Nowhere already has that, so I don't really need a Triskelion for it. I'm gonna put it in the 20-40 range, but at the high end. I used to use it a lot more. I'm not a big ally swarm person. It's just not a build I enjoy. Like if I'm doing recursion, usually I hit 3 and that's like the max anyway. We have Avengers Tower now and stuff like that. So it's just, there's other cards that make more sense than Triskelion. It has its niche spot, but I don't use it that often. All right, Tiger is a 3-cost aggression ally, 1/2/3 stat line Avenger. Response: after Tiger attacks and defeats a minion, heal 1 damage from her. I like the idea of this. I do. I just feel myself never really playing it. She's gonna go to the bottom of the 2040 range, not the very, very bottom, but down there. I think I think it's a good card for some minion defeating if you leave it out there, but there's so few minions now that are like 2 life, right? Most minions have a lot more life that you have to ping it with something else and then deal damage with Tigra, which then you would heal, so that would work out, and that's good. It's just I just don't play Rotom that way. I either overkill minions or I'm doing attacks that do multiple attacks or dealing with minions that are dealing more damage than that, so that doesn't make sense. All right, next up we have Uppercut is an aggression card, a 3-cost event. Attack, hero action, attack, deal 5 damage to enemies. So it's 3 for 5 damage card. Not great, but I'm gonna put it at the low 40-60 range. There are times it can make sense. It's not a great card, right? For 3 for 5 damage is not great. Our standard was 3 for 8. They do seem to be nerfing that a bit and bringing the value down, like closer to 3 to 6 and 2 to 4 range. So this would actually become a better card for things. But sometimes you just need to deal some damage, right? Sometimes you just need to deal some damage in your aggression deck. So I have it in there less than half the time to just kind of fill out that deck to deal damage, especially if I'm using a hero that doesn't have like a ton of good like attack events and they can afford a more expensive card. So I'll put that in there. All right, last card we have is Vision, a leadership card, 4-cost ally, 1/2/3 stat line, Android Avenger. Action, spend an energy resource to choose thwart or attack. Until the end of the phase, Vision gets +2 for the chosen power. Here's the thing. It's till the end of what the phase. So if you can ready up and build out Vision on a Voltron build, you could like swing for 4, ready up, swing for 4. Like you have to give ways like heal Vision, all that stuff. It's a little bit tricky of a build, but you also if you put like inspired on Vision, he's now at 2/3 stat lines again +2. Like now he's swinging for 5 and then possibly 5 again. It's a little expensive for what he is. It's tricky to build around. So because of that, I don't use him a lot, so I'm put at the bottom of the 80-60 range. It's not that he's bad. If you build around the Voltron deck, he's actually really good. It's just a very specific way I play, or a very specific way I have to play with him. So it's just not done that often. Again, this is why we're doing this tier list of just like more often to play that card. Again, it doesn't mean that's necessarily a bad card. I think it's really good, subjective, because again, you have to build around it for it to be good. I just don't build that Voltron deck that much anymore. I used to a lot. And I still think it makes sense and it can be worth it at times, but it's not something that I do all the time or anything like that. All right, really quick before we go, make sure you go down below and check out the membership tab or click the join button or check out my Patreon. You get extended videos, you get more stuff, you get to vote on polls, all the fun things, and it really helps me out as a content creator. But hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you enjoyed that we did something a little bit different. I want to eventually do these tier lists with every single hero pack, and like for future videos, it won't be this long. We'll just do like Captain America's hero pack, whatever, and talk about the aspect cards that are in it. I think that'll be maybe fun and interesting. I don't know. I don't want to do like a whole wave because that just might be too long of a video. But hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you do, let me know and I'll do whatever's next after this. I forgot what would be next. Maybe Rise of Red Skull. No, it'd be some hero packs. So we'll do some hero packs and talk about the aspect cards specifically in there. So again, appreciate you all. Make sure to the like button, hit subscribe, check out those join memberships and those Patreon tiers. It really helps out. Check the Discord channel. That's also linked down below. Just check out all the links in the newsletter and all those fun things. Really appreciate your support and I will see you all next time.